Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a quick fishing report on Alamo Lake. Our club midweek bass club finished the tournament up there Wednesday, the third week of Wednesday in October, and people had pre-fished and fished a couple days before and then fished the tournament. And what I can tell you from that experience is the fishing is good. Just go. You can stop the video now, okay? And you can just pack up and go fishing. You can probably do your most favorite thing that you like to do and catch fish. So it's not off the hook. I wouldn't say they're crushing it, but you can go there and catch plenty of fish and some really, really nice fish. And I'm gonna talk about that at the end, the quality of fish that is now at Alamo Lake. And anyway, hang in there and I'm gonna show you some baits that you can use to get started. Hello, I'm Joe Michels, the owner of Fish Point, and this is our media channel. Welcome. I started fishing in Arizona in 1985, and in 1986 I joined the Arizona Bass Club. After a few years of learning, I started to win tournaments, and eventually I became the Angler of the Year. About the same time, I also started a tackle company called Conquistador Tackle that made wired worms, which were an improvement over the good old Westy worm that had been around for so many years. We also made jigs and finesse baits and hand-poured worms, things like that. And in 2002, I joined a local Pro-Am circuit, won some tournaments, became Angler of the Year. Now, about 8 years ago, I stopped fishing. And boy, have things changed since then. New boats, new motors, new electronics, trolling motors are new, right? New techniques, new baits, a lot of things have changed. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take all that new stuff to me, I'm going to apply it to my deep knowledge of Arizona bass fishing, and we're going to go do this together. We're going to go out on the water and we're going to catch fish here in Arizona. And remember, like everybody else, please hit the subscription button. Subscriptions are free, they don't cost anything, so that just helps you get notified when new videos are out. And we're going to make a bunch of videos, and that helps me get my channel up to other viewers. So I appreciate it. So remember, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit the like button, because there's nothing better for me, the producer of these shows, to know which kind of shows you guys really like. Well, starting off in the morning, you can do a couple of different things. One, you can throw some topwater. I heard guys were cranking some fish, okay? And I think you can throw worms or craws or Texas style. So as an example of something I might want to throw first thing in the morning, this is a Sammy. I've had it a long time. It's a walking bait. I had some bites on a bigger walking bait. They didn't eat it because I think they were smaller fish, but I was looking for bigger fish. So, downsizing was not my thing in my head. But if you want to go have some fun first thing in the morning, go ahead and put on a Sammy, or actually, probably you can go put a popper on too, right? I'm going to talk more about the popper moving forward. So put on some topwater and enjoy before the sun comes up, generally enjoy that bite because it's a lot of fun. Okay, so the next thing is, I was fishing just Texas worms. This is a swim Senko from Yamamoto, which I like to do. I like it again because for some reason this bait with its tail, it just seems to attract slightly larger fish. But I can tell you, if you were to use a swim Senko, if you were to use craws, Texas style, on rocky points, brushy rocky points, by the way, the whole lake is about brushy rocky points, I think you're gonna catch some fish. Again, first thing in the morning, it'll work pretty well. So, just go throw your favorite Texas rig. What weights? I don't know. If you're in the morning, they're a little shallower, use a 1/4 ounce, and maybe by the afternoon, move up to 3/8, whatever you like to do. Just go and go fishing, right? But enjoy and have some fun. Some other interesting things. I know some people were catching them on Carolina rigs. So this here is a Carolina rig. I don't know. It's about, it's 18, 20 inches long, whatever length that you choose to do. I like using Senko Yamamoto swim tails. I just like the action they have in the water as you drag it along. Very subtle. Again, it's not a giant worm, but it's a bigger worm, and I think that's key to catching larger fish. But don't be afraid just to to Carolina rig anything. Here's just a big worm. Again, the water is still warm enough. I think it can easily handle some big worms. So not only can you try the big worm on Carolina rig, you can just hook it up Texas style and put a, 3/8 head on it, a weight on it, and just go for it, right? They're biting, so enjoy. But this is a Zoom 8 or 9 inch worm with a curled tail. You've seen me in other videos in the past where I talk about big 8-inch worms. I didn't happen to try that, but I don't see why that would be a problem. Trying some different things if you want to, because there are some nicer fish at Alamo right now. And again, I'm going to talk about that here in a bit in the future. A couple other things I did. I did go up into the river and practice, and I was flipping this big old brush hog. This is the big size brush hog. You notice I dipped the tail a little bit, and I caught a 3-pound plus fish on it. Okay, now I didn't light them up. It wasn't like I caught a bunch, but this big bait in the fall of the year really, I think catches a lot better fish. I don't know why. They're the ones that'll bite. Maybe they're better fish, so give that a shot. This happens to be one of my most favorite colors. I don't know the name of it, but it's a watermelon, and it's got copper and green fleck. I love that copper fleck this time of year. We're thinking about bluegills, right? With the colors of the greens and the coppers. That's what I'm going for. And then always I dip the tail a little bit to give some nice color. Like I said, I had one bite only, and I never went back during the tournament day to try, but I did have a good bite on this bait, and I love throwing this bait. I think I was using a 3/8 ounce, and it's really heavy cover. I don't have any video. I had overheating problems. It was over 100 degrees each day we fished, so I didn't get any good video to show you. So just take my word for it and give it a shot. You can, by the way, you can throw anything you like. Baby brush hogs you can do. You can also do beaver tie style baits, whatever you like. But another point here, we were fishing in water that was about 5 or 6 foot deep, and I like how as the bait drops, these things, they start doing their little thing. If I only had a 2 foot of water, I might, I could just use a beaver or something like that, perhaps. Whatever you like to flip. Again, just go and do it. You'll catch fish probably if you try hard enough. Okay. There's another interesting bite that starts as soon as the sun comes up and a little bit after, and there's a buzz bait. Now this is the dragonfly bite. Okay, so this is a buzz bait. I caught fish on this each day. I wish they were biting better, but again, there was no wind when we fished 2 days, and so I think this buzz bait was just too much for him. There's too much activity. But I know if I went back again and there was a slight breeze and everything, I think this bait would work really fantastic. Notice the colors, and notice I added a little worm on the end here. I think that's interesting to make it try to emulate a dragonfly as best I can with a buzz bait. In line with that, this is a buzz frog, okay? And it's a watermelon and green color. So now that I think about it after the fact, I should have been using this for a couple different reasons, and let me tell you why. First of all, see the size of this. Well, I can actually cast this a long way. It's kind of a heavy bait. It doesn't have any weight on it, but I can take my Senkos Warhorse. It's 7'5", and I can, with 18-pound test line, and I can throw this a long ways. I have to really wind it up, but I can throw it a long ways, and if I wanted to, I can buzz it along the top. But more importantly, this bait and the Senko I'm about to show you is, after the fact, I started thinking about it, that this would have been a great bait to throw at the fish in the backs of the coves. See, they were coming up and eating dragonflies. Sometimes they would swirl, sometimes they're jumping all the way out of the water. If you go to the back of a cove and you see that happening, you can catch those fish. Now, it may frustrate you, by the way, because they don't bite just because you're there, but we found 2 different ways that they were biting quite well in the backs of the coves. 3 ways during the tournament. One way wasn't as good. I've already showed you. One way is just go back there and buzz bait like crazy. And then this here is a more subtle way to buzz bait. But I think what I'm getting at is I wish I would have had this tied on, because I could buzz, and then as soon as I seen one jump, if I was in range, I could have thrown this on it. Because what we found, by the way, was we were using Senko. Okay, now we use the Senko one of two different ways. One, we hooked it up wacky style, like you hook it up wacky style. Let me stick it in there. I don't have my glasses on. I'm just going to do simple wacky style. And you can throw that with a spinning rod, and you can throw it a long ways. The Senkos is a heavy bait. And we caught some. My non-boater caught over 3-pounder on it, doing it that way. So that's a great way to do it. And if you want to use a bait caster, I highly recommend you get yourself some of these weighted hooks. Okay. These are Mustad hooks. You can find them. If you have to, you might have to go to the Mustad site. But what's interesting is these things slide up and down. So I push them as far back as I can. If I have to, I'll replace the pegs that they have with screw-ons. I'm going to screw it on, and I'll stop right there. And then I just hook it up, Texas style, like this. And again, I'm having a hard time without my glasses. That's what happens when you get old. But there you have it, right? So this particular bait, you can throw on a spinning rod, but I can also throw it a long ways on a bait caster. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about between this bait and this bait. We noticed that if they came up and splashed and they were in range and you could throw the Senko on them, you would probably get a bite once every other time. Okay, that's not bad because that's a pretty good hook, ratio for bites. The problem is you see them jumping all over around you, but they're nowhere near you. They're 80 yards away or whatever. Remember, it was dead calm, and any fish jumping on the water or making swirls on the top, you could hear it. So that can be frustrating, but it's fun. You just watching these fish. And by the way, again, the quality of these fish, shockingly, you're seeing 2.5 and 3-pounders jumping out of the water at Alamo Lake. No kidding. It's amazing. Enjoy. But the point is, I think if I would have had this thought about it in my head, this buzz frog, I could have been running it like a buzzbait, which I was doing. And if I seen a fish jump, I could have reeled it in real quick and just thrown right at it. And I think this bait hitting the water right after they make a swirl would certainly, to me, represent a dragonfly hitting the water or something. And I think I would have got more bites if I could have done that. Didn't think of it. Now I think of it. Next time I go, I'll give it a try. There's one more thing that was very productive in a practice day for me, as well as in the tournament, and that is using poppers. Okay, so I have two different brands here. This is a Rico. Well, you can probably read it. It's a Rico, and this is a Mega Bass. What the key here is they're both small size poppers. Okay, and I think that's important. And here's how I would do it. Again, we're in the backs of the coves, and the fish are jumping out of the water, and what I would do is I had popper tied on, I make a cast, it would hit the water, and these kind of hit the water soft because they're really light. They're very small, light baits. They're actually hard to cast, frankly, with a bait caster. But I can do it, and so can you if you set your rods up right. And when it hits the water and you go chugga, 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 and then that's when they would hit it. Almost all the time when I got a bite on a popper, it was like it hits the water and a couple of moves and they eat it. Because I think what was going on, right, was that they thought it was a dragonfly that landed on the water, and if it made a couple of chugs, it was like a dragonfly stuck or wounded on the top of the water, or just couldn't get off the top, and they would eat it. One thing I noticed, it took me a while because I threw this for hours, was that if I threw it out there and after the first couple of chugs and I kept chugging it back to the boat, they would not eat it. Never. It was almost like chug, chug, boosh, So it was interesting. I picked up on that later, but what do? I was sort of dialed in on that bite. Another thing that weirdly didn't work as good as it should have is when they did come up, show themselves, I would throw the popper on them and they wouldn't eat it. And so that's where I got locked into the popper. It's a lot of fun to watch them, and it's a lot of fun when they eat it. And in practice, I caught a 3 1/4, 2 3/4. So I caught decent fish, right? So it wasn't like I was messing around with something I shouldn't have been doing. I just got locked in on this. What I should have had on, I think, and boy, I'd love to go back and try, is I think this buzz frog could be interesting. Even if I had to add a little weight, like taking this weight and add it to, change these baits around, I think that'd be amazing. I think that could have been a better bite now that I think about it, because I would have been able to throw on the fish that surface, and I could have ran it like a buzzbait. So who knows? Well, there you go. And on this part, and again, the key thing to know here is just go to the lake and go fishing. If you like, oh, I didn't mention drop shot. Okay, I'm sorry. You can catch the heck out of them with drop shot. So drop shot your favorite worm, hook it up, hook your drop shot up Texas rig style, because there's a lot of bushes everywhere. Get out there, you're going to catch them on drop shot just fine. So that's another thing to do. So I'm doing this and I'm giving you an incredible good report, and I would really appreciate if you would subscribe and hit that like button and comment on maybe the baits that you would have used if you went to Alamo. So let's talk about Alamo and the size and quality of the fish, because that's important for all us anglers in Arizona. Things are looking really good, by the way. So the Midweek Bass Club has fished tournaments for the last 3 years now. This October, last October, and 2021. In 2021, to win the tournament wasn't even 8 pounds. It was 791 or something like that. And of course, all the other weights are below that, okay? The club generally puts right around 30 boats on the water. So we all dislike that kind of weight in fishing at the lake. Last year, it took 9 pounds, just under 9 pounds to win, right? So it went from just under 8 to basically just under 9 pounds to win. We're talking small weights. Well, this year was completely different, right? 14 plus pounds to win, almost 13 pounds was next, and there were a bunch of guys with 12 pounds and a whole bunch of people with 10 pounds. We had 10 pounds plus, and including a 3.3 that we had in our bag. Numbers of 3-pounders are being caught. A whole bunch of 2.5s and 2 3/4 are being caught. It's just fantastic. Okay, so why is that? What happened to make that lake better? The shorter answer is obviously last winter the lake filled up quite well, 20 feet above the new pool that they have set, which, by the way, is nowhere near what the dam can actually hold back, but it filled up 20 feet plus, so high you couldn't use the boat ramp at Cholla, for example, in the springtime. They did let 20 plus feet out to get it to their new pool that they have, but it took a while, and then now it's basically 2 to 3 feet below their pool. And I talked to one of the rangers, and they had convinced the water people controlling the water, says, can they actually leave some water in that lake? So right now Alamo is looking pretty good for size. It's still a small lake, but it looks pretty good. But what's happened is when you flood all those bushes, when all the runoff brings nutrients in, the whole life cycle of the lake just turns on. There's more nutrients in the water from the runoff, like I mentioned, and when you flood bushes, the bushes break down, the leaves and all that stuff break down, those nutrients go into the water, and the plankton, if you will, live off of that, and then the little fish live off of that, and so on and so forth. Another thing that happens when there's so much brush is that all the fish that spawn can do a better job of spawning, and they can, at least their fry are better protected. So, crappie do a better job when there's more things to spawn on. Crappie like to spawn on wood and stuff. Bass, of course, spawn, and they make beds, but when they hatch, they move out and they hide in the bushes and stuff. So it protects more of them. Bluegill, there are more bluegill. I saw just plenty of bluegill about this size, okay, and bass, baby bass this size. Some baby bass were a little bigger and you could catch them, so I'm sure we were catching 11 inchers, 10 inchers that were from this year's early spawn, and I saw a whole bunch of little guys. So the whole food system is better, and that's why now there's a huge class between 2 and 3 pounds of fish. Very nice class, probably from 2 years ago that spawned. They're healthy. Every fish looks healthy. It's just amazing. And so get it while it lasts. Get out there and catch those fish. I can tell you, catching a 2.5 pounder on topwater is a lot of fun, using these little poppers, and I use a rod that's got some light action because I'm using small hooks. It's just, you get this guy on and they're just, it's just a lot of fun. Get out there and do it. And by the way, just as a side note, yes, Alamo they're doing great, healthy, but so is Roosevelt. Roosevelt really filled up. and those fish there, again, are very healthy. So we got a couple great lakes that are just doing fantastic because of the rain we got last winter. Now, by the way, many people know that we're supposed to be in an El Nino year, which means more rains for the Southwest. Let's hope so. It hasn't shown up yet, but if we can get more rains and fill those lakes up, or should we say keep them full, we're going to have a next couple of years of just fantastic fishing at Alamo Lake for sure, Roosevelt Lake, Bartlett Lake for sure. So enjoy it while you can. Get out there and go fishing at Alamo. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please give me some comments, what you think, and also, hit that like button and subscribe. It's awesome. Everybody, have a great day and see you soon.